Welcome, Wargamers. Doug here from 2 Plus Tough, and I have just kind of a brief, simple video here for you. I wanted to show off some of the work that I've been doing on my Age of Darkness set for Horus Heresy. So, if you are unfamiliar, I am doing Horus Heresy just with a local awesome guy named Ned, and we are each building up our forces, very excited to jump further and further into the game. I am doing Sons of Horus because I wanted to try painting that really cool Sons of Horus green and kind of get some other effects. So I thought with all that's going on in the world, my personal world anyway, I could show off what I've been working on. Because normally I don't hobby particularly fast above anyone else, but it's been a rough couple weeks and hobbying is my kind of mental retreat. And so I've gotten quite a bit done because of the stress levels. But I wanted to share my progress with you. So let's go over to the shared screen and I'll show you what I mean. So here is a first look at my Sons of Horus. As you can see, I've gotten 20 tactical Marines done. The Contemptor there all blurred out in the background. The Spartan, I believe, the Land Raider, whatever it is, and then 2 units of Termies, one with their bolt weapons, the other one with a lightning claws, and the Bois with an axe. That's what I got done so far. Now I do still have, before we get into better pictures of all of these guys, I do still have another, I believe, 20 TAC Marines still on sprue. And I was able to pick up one of the heavy weapons kits. I'm going to grab a special weapons kit here in a bit and turn those into the specialist 5-man squads that can bring all sorts of fiery hell to the opponent. So I'm saving some of those Marines for future projects, but this is everything I have so far. Here is a similar picture that is just a little bit zoomed out so you get a little more perspective of the bases. What I did was basically tried to recreate the box art for the Age of Darkness. It shows a Sons of Horus character and he's firing into red ashen earth, and so I love the pop of that red on the green, and so I went for that in a few different places. But yes, the bases, they are, what's this stuff called? Texture paint, Martian iron earth, and then put down Martian iron earth, did a wash of the, I think, dark shade from Army Painter, and then dry brushed on Squig orange. And that's how I got the bases to look the way that they did. And we'll move into some of the individual units here. Here's my 20 TAC Marines. As you can see, I did quite a bit of practice on them. I actually did them in units of 10. 10 of these guys have a 1 under their base, 10 of them have a 2. And for the group 1, I tried mixing my own version of Sons of Horus green. It was a little bit brighter. You can kind of see this guy here on the front right. He's a little bit more highlightery than the others. That's an example of my own mixture, and that was simply because I couldn't find a bottle of Sons of Horus anywhere. Luckily, I did find in a hidden, tucked away hobby store that had a pot of it. So batch 2 was the same basic process, but with actual Sons of Horus green as the main color. The way that I painted these was I did a Zenithal with Wraithbone primer. So I painted them gray, primed them gray, and then sprayed from the top down with Wraithbone, the contrast paint. That way it creates shadows and lights and raised areas. And then I basically dunked the entire model in Pterodon turquoise, the contrast paint, and that gave me my foundational blue colors. And then I went over it with Sons of Horus blue, and that's how I got my final product. It's a blue-green that I'm very happy with, and so I'm going to go that going forward rather than my own concoction. But I think they turned out great. This was also the first time I began experimenting with a new type of chemical, what's it called? Walther's Solva set for setting decals. Basically, you put it on there with water, and then once it's all dried, you just kind of put the solver stuff on top of it, and it basically just melts the decal onto the model, makes it nice and smooth, and then just do a matte coat on top, and it's good to go. So these guys, I love the battle damaged look. You can see some of them have some barbed wire on their bases. I like that stuff too, and I'm just overall, I'm very happy with them. Here's a better shot, kind of more face on. You can see the 2 leaders, or sergeants I should say. The one on the right is going to be my brighter one from round 1. The one on the left with the little plumage is going to be from round 2 with the actual Sons of Horus green. We move into my Contemptor. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, okay? A few things about this Contemptor. 1, I did not understand that if you don't choose a weapon to go inside of his hand, it's just an empty hole. Like, I kind of misunderstood the instructions as I was building it, and I was like, oh, I don't want a weapon. I want to keep him as cheap as possible, not knowing he basically just comes with a weapon, and now his wrist has a giant gaping maw in it, which is both cool and annoying. Moving on from there, he is fully magnetized on all of the arms, so he can be kitted out however I want. He's just not my favorite model. I tried to make him look like there was some wear and tear on him and some chipping and that kind of stuff. Overall, I do like him. To be honest, when I think of dreadnoughts, like I love dreadnoughts in 40K. It's one of my favorite concepts because the concept is it's a sarcophagus that's a war machine. For some reason, the Contemptor Dread just never looks like a sarcophagus to me. Like, I don't buy that there's a marine in here. Whereas the big boxy ones where it looks like they just shoved somebody inside of it like he was a thumb drive, that I buy. So I don't know. He's just my least favorite of all the different kinds of dreadnought. And now here we have sort of an honor guard here. If you don't know the Sons of Horus, their first company is their Terminators, and they paint them in all black, generally speaking, because it's just an honor thing for them. So we have my leader, who I have not named yet. I'm taking suggestions on the name in the comments below, with his honor guard of melee Terminators, Cataphracti, of course. I think later on I'm going to buy some of these and just kind of specifically kit bash them to be the Sons of Horus specific ones. I think that would be pretty cool. I didn't realize at first how similar they were to the actual Sons of Horus ones, but I like these guys quite a bit. Lightning Claws have always been, honestly, my favorite weapon in all of Warhammer. Like, whether it's the Orc Power Claw with a K or Power Fist, there's just something about those weapons that's always appealed to me. Like, even when I'm playing other games like Fallout or whatever, the idea of a Power Fist is just awesome. So we'll keep moving here. There's another picture of the same group. Sorry, didn't realize I doubled up there. And here's the second squad. I differentiated them by giving them a green shoulder pad, and none of them are angled to show it, but it does have the Eye of Horus, the Sons of Horus symbol on there, on that green shoulder pad. I wanted them to pop just a little bit differently, maybe showing that these guys are elite, but they're not like, you know, the badasses that walk with the leader. So I wanted to have one ranged option, one melee option, just to kind of see what I like, and then future purchases will be based upon effectiveness. So if I, you know, drop 5 guys with guns and they just do nothing, but the melee ones do, well, in the future I'll lean into those. But when it comes to these starter sets, I'm all about variety. And now we're going to move into the tank. We have 2 pictures here. Here's a good one as well for the front. So with the tank here, obviously it's got 4 las cannons, got a big old las array. I put a dude on top who's hanging out playing games on his iPad. Mainly, I'm not a big fan of guys poking their heads out, but I loved the idea of someone just kind of taking in the battlefield and like doing a bit of recon, so I like that quite a bit. The door actually does close all the way. It's not just open a little crack there for no reason. I got all the symbols and stuff all painted up, and then basically attacked it with squig orange to add the dust effects and stuff like that. Here you can see a good side picture of it. All of the brass and stuff like that is done with Balthazar Gold. I saw that on a tutorial on Mediocre Hobbies, and I just fell in love with it. I think it looks so rich with that green. And yeah, the way that I painted these guys was I did the same primer technique on all these models. So primed gray, Zenithal with Wraithbone. For these Terminators, I went over them completely with Black Templar contrast. And then Vallejo actually makes a paint, one of their model color lines called Black Gray, which is exactly as it sounds. It's black, but with just the slightest tick of gray. And that's actually what you see for the bulk of the armor, is that color. And then I did some edge highlighting with Dawnstone to make it pop a little bit, just because more so than TAC Marines, these guys have some hard edges, like very, very pronounced, like that big backpack thing over their head. That's a very hard straight edge, and so I wanted a little bit more line highlighting than the basic Tactical Marine, who has a lot more curves on the edges of their armor. So that was my concept there. As far as the tank goes, I was really just kind of making things up. Like, one of the best parts about Horus Heresy is you get folks who complain about, you know, you didn't paint them quote unquote the right way. Well, there's actually a lot of ways to paint within a Legion's color scheme. As they go off on various missions and get kind of separated, they can change their heraldry as they go. So my thought here was, this is going to be a Land Raider that's taking a prized leader and his vanguard from the first company, those Terminators with the claws, into battle. So he would also be a super fancy first company Land Raider, or at least attached to the first company. And so for that's why I painted him the way that I did, where he's got some of those, the black on the siding and the maroon kind of in the front, that is meant to copy the black and the maroon of the first company. And of course, because he is a Sons of Horus, the rest of him is the green. So I thought it was a fun little project to play around with some other colors, some other schemes, and work the various minor colors of the Legion into it. You know, it's first company, it's supposed to be different and bold, and so I added, yeah, the black. I don't know how well you can see it, but the top up here is also black. The light kind of hits it and makes it reflect some of the green, but it is, yeah, we've got black on the sides, the top. The maroon only extends to the front hatch area, as well as these little pieces here on the sides. There's one on the front, one on the back on both of them. And overall, I am over the moon about how well these came out. I think all in all, I'm in for a real treat. Now, one thing I can say about this project, though, is what I'm doing next is even more fun. I'm taking the remaining 20 Marines that I have, and I have some custom heads, and I'm going to be building them in very specific ways. So, like, I want them to be more chaosy, as if they are losing their minds when it comes to how the Legion should function. And so imagine these Marines with cultist heads. So when I say cultist, I mean like they're robed, some of their mouths and face are covered up and secure, and like hidden identities, like they're ashamed of themselves, wielding heavy weapons, missile launchers, heavy bolters. Wrapped around those weapons or their legs or something like that is going to be barbed wire, as if they literally are using it to make themselves weapons. That's kind of the idea for the next batch. It's not something I'm in a huge rush to complete at the moment. I got all this done and I'm very happy with it. Need to move on to some other projects, but specifically with these guys, I'm very excited. So I hope that you join me in that, and you are interested in checking out my crazy cultist heavy and special weapon squads. The only bummer to this is that I don't have names for any of them. So if you have names for, name suggestions for the Land Raider, 2 tactical squads, the leader, and 2 Terminator units, and the Contemptor, let me know. But consider this a contest. Name my units for me, and we'll just pick out the winners from a few different, people who throw voices in. But overall, I'm very excited to get these guys on the table and do some Zone Mortalis, probably. Smaller games, more tightly confined areas, that kind of thing. So if you are also painting your Age of Darkness stuff up, let me know in the comments down below what you're working on, and I'll catch you next time with my next update. Thank you for watching and listening. Happy wargaming.